This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up? No, it is another Thursday. This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. And man, if you paid attention to that intro, you already know what time it is. It's the return of our homie Shane T. And as you can see, I came correct tonight, man. I came to play, dude. See, I told you, we rock with ours on and off the show over here.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these folks will come in. Shane, can I have you on the show? They ain't got no merch. They ain't supporting the cause. You know what I'm saying? They ain't putting no bread in my pocket. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it for real.
No, dude, straight up, like since the beginning of the show, anybody that doesn't know, I mean, like you were one of the first, big names we got on the show. I mean, you've rocked with us since the beginning, shout out Tony Thunder. But I mean, dude, we've gotten to be cool we play the game all the damn time at this point. Like I said, man, I meant what I said even the other night when I heard you on Busted Open, shot you a text like, dude, good shit. So like I said, I mean, we rock with you on and off the show. So it's good to have you back, brother, man.
Hey, man, it's good to be back. What's going on, boys? Y'all all right?
Oh, yeah. Up.
Yeah. What happened?
Uh-oh, there we go. We're good.
Are we good?
All right. Yeah, froze for a second. I don't know. Right. Technical difficulties. You got to love that shit. The glory of the pandemic.
Man, that shit's been hitting great.
But I still prefer StreamYard over anything else, though. This is usually
you're the first one I've heard that.
It's either bro, Zoom started off good, but after that, no bueno.
It doesn't have the features, especially like when we have fans interacting and stuff like that. StreamYard's the best for that. You can see all the comments right across the board. You can get more interactive with fans and stuff. It's just a better.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
You talk about the fans and things. One of the guys who was already pretty excited for us to bring you in is a guy who's a pretty regular on our show. Donald's already in the comments, man. He said he was excited to see you in here, but he's also been one of the biggest ones chirping about wanting to see STP versus DTA. Well, before we get to that, tell me a little bit about that, man. It's been dope to see you guys kind of just branching out and showing up all over the place, whether that's been Wrestle Pit, with our buddies over at Pele Pro and all that kind of stuff too. And I know you've got a lot of designs on where STP might go outside of here. So before we get to Ring of Honor, before we get to Final Battle, tell me a little bit about that. How's it felt just to get back out on the road and everything and kind of branch out and expand the horizons?
It's funny because it feels normal for us because we were doing shows down in Texas when ROH was on hiatus. We've been one of the few talents that have been doing independence outside of ROH this whole time. So for us, it's just business as normal. It's great to go out there and defend these titles against young, hungry talent. That was the goal when we won them, was to bring opportunity and eyes to people that normally wouldn't get it, that normally wouldn't have the chance to step up to us and have, feel what it's like to be in that main event spot, feel what that pressure's like, feel what comes with that. And so for us to be able to do that with teams like the Main Event or with Prolific up there in New York, or anybody else we've had the chance to get in the ring with, has been dope. And yeah, man, we're just going to keep that going, that we're going to continue to branch out, continue to get our names out there. There's a lot of big independent promotions that I want to hit. There's a lot of great matchups out there, a lot of money to be made. But first and foremost, we have to get through this weekend, which is Final Battle.
Yes, sir. And we'll definitely get to that. Donald, I see what you're throwing up in the comments, brother, man. We definitely will get to that because, we rock with Isaiah Bronner out here, and I'm pretty sure Shane knows Isaiah Bronner too. So,
yep.
Let's talk about ROH Final Battle. So, I mean, dude, it's being heralded as the end of an era. It's a damn shame because, dude, we went from the beginning of the pandemic where we were talking about how, and I said it multiple times on this show, and I'm not just saying this because you're on there. I've told you this when we were playing the game. I really feel like ROH had one of the best products during the pandemic, especially when they reintroduced the Pure Tournament and all those things, and then to be where we're at now. Before we get into Final Battle itself, what are your overall thoughts on Ring of Honor and your time there, and what do you think the overall legacy of Ring of Honor as a whole is going to be if this is the end of an era as it's being built?
Man, the tagline has been said probably ad nauseum, but it's true. It could very well be the most influential company of the last 20 years. Not only because it's reshaped the style of professional wrestling, but if you look at all the talent that have come from it, and we're not just talking a few big stars, we are talking legendary performers for the last 20 years that have come through the doors of ROH. The impact that it's had on overseas talent, on American talent. Hell, there's a whole company in Florida right now based off of Ring of Honor talent. You know what I mean? So, and not to mention damn near all the top talent in New York and Connecticut, same place. It's where they all come from. So the legacy of Ring of Honor will forever be linked to the history that it's made, the stars that it's produced, the alternative that it was and could be going forward. My time there has been incredible. You know, I haven't always been happy, you know what I mean? But that's because I want the best for it. You know what I mean? I want to challenge Ring of Honor to be as good as I know it can be, right? That passion, that love for this place is why I do that. And anytime you have someone who is as passionate as I am, as vocal as I am, it may come off to some people who don't care as much as anger, but it's not anger. It's the fact that I see the potential, I see what it could be, and I want it to be that. And my time at ROH was dedicated to achieving that. I wanted us to be not only the place of equality, but of beyond the cutting edge of innovation as well, just as we should be, to be that place that not only top talent goes to, but independent talent goes to re-solidify who they are, to make who they are. It didn't matter. All that mattered would be if you could come in and absolutely put on a show anytime you step through those ropes and give everybody equal opportunity to do that. Over the last year and a half or so throughout this era, I agree with you. Ring of Honor had the best product of any TV show that has been put out there. And I'll do you one better. Probably 6 months prior to that, moving forward, Ring of Honor had the best TV show of any company out there. And that's a credit to the performers. That's a credit to all the hard work they've done. And I'm sure this weekend you are going to have some inspired performances.
I mean, not to harp on what Kyle was saying, but I actually came into the show about a year and a half ago, and I came in on the MMA side of the sphere. And I had that explained to me by about 10 to 15 guests throughout the pandemic that if you're going to take a look at anything that's on the market in the current sphere of wrestling, a lot of people were getting tuned out by WWE. They weren't necessarily following the stuff. AEW was doing a great job on their own, but during the pandemic, I had literally, like I said, 10, 15 people point out that ROH was the best thing that you could currently watch on the market. So it is unfortunate to see that kind of tweeter out, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I've compared it to, like, if we were playing sports and we tried to make this miraculous comeback, right? I'm talking down 35 at the half. Mm-hmm. We score with no time left. You know what I mean? And it's 34 to 35. You know what I mean? Like it's that sort of feeling. Like, man, if we just had just a little more time. You know what I mean? We could have really turned the whole game around and had something for the ages, but it is what it is. And now the only thing that we can control now is putting our best foot forward come Final Battle and putting on a show, putting on performances that people are going to remember for the next 20 years.
Well, let's talk about that, man. I mean, for you, this to be a quote unquote last show, even if it is only until they come back in April, I mean, there couldn't really be a better way for you to go out unless, you know, and we'll talk about that in a second, if they gave you a call and gave you, you know, somehow a shot with that world title match. But, you know, shout out to Bandito. Hopefully he has a quick, speedy recovery and all that. But with this match against Kenny King, man, I mean, obviously with the history going into it and everything involved with it, I mean, if this is the quote-unquote end of an era, I mean, it's quite fitting that a match with you and Kenny King would be the way that you guys go out. So what are your thoughts on Kenny King being what could possibly be, you know, your final opponent at Final Battle?
To be honest, you know, I could come on here and be like, I hate him and I'm gonna destroy him and I'm gonna do all this bullshit. But honestly, man, like I'm still sitting here. We're probably 48 hours away from this thing, and there's part of me that still wishes that we didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, there's part of me that still is wishing, like, damn, this whole thing could have worked out differently. You know what I mean? We are supposed to be laughing, joking, chilling right now. It should be me preparing to defend the Ring of Honor world title against Jonathan Gresham. That's what we should be doing. That's what we should be. That's where we should be at. But here we are. You know, it feels like Doc Holliday going into the OK Corral against Wyatt Earp. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you're gonna have to do, because if not, you know what I mean, the only result, exactly, you know what I mean? And that's the feeling that we both have, is we're gonna have to shoot. We can't miss, because we know just how good the other person is. And to be honest, man, like, it's mentally, I'm prepared for it. Physically, I'm getting there. I've never been in a fight without Honor. Kenny has, so he has a little bit more knowledge and experience on what to expect from this than I do. But at the end of the day, man, he's got to pay for what he did. He's got to pay for not only costing me the Ring of Honor World Championship, but he's got to pay for robbing me of history, robbing the fans of history, robbing our culture of history, robbing me of the chance of coming home and showing my girls the Ring of Honor World Championship and letting them know that you can achieve everything over every obstacle put in front of you. That's what he took from me. And nobody takes anything from me and not pay for it. So come this Saturday, you know, it's time to collect.
Well, J-Bone, you've been a little quiet up there. I've been running my gums. What you got over there? I know you got the whiteboard next to you.
I'm just taking it all in, man. Guys, I've been watching your work, man. Incredible work. I just think it's very fitting, you know, you and Kenny King on the Final Battle pay-per-view, which could be the Final Battle.
Right.
Like I said, with considering the history and everything, it's very, very fitting. But is there more pressure on you guys to put on a great showing, since this could be, I mean, let's face it, it could be your audition for something new. But considering that, is there more, you know, pressure on you guys to put on a better show, or are you just ready to go out there, you know, just another day's work and get it?
No, I don't think there's any more pressure, because a lot of people have already, and I'm trying to say this in a way that can make sense, right? Like, you've already got people who are deemed as, you know, the superstars that are going to lead going forward, right? And no matter what I've done, even though I've been the most consistent performer over the last 5 years, somehow people always assume less of what I'm about to do, right? And so what I'm going to do is go out there and do exactly what I've done the last 5 years, and that's go out and outperform everybody. Whether other people are watching or not, cool. Whether it's an audition or not, cool. But I know what I'm capable of. I know what Kenny is capable of. And more so, I think we're looking at this as something to prove to ourselves and something to prove to each other, because we already know what we're capable of, but we want to be able to go out there, test each other, and really see what we can bring out of each other. So I'm excited, and we are going to put on one hell of a show, and good luck to everybody else, because if you think you're going to outperform us, you're not.
Well, to everybody that's joining the stream, we appreciate you guys. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you got any questions for Shane, throw them in the comments, because like I said, nothing's off limits over here. But, you know, something to go along with something that you said that, you know, brings up a good question. You know, with Kenny being with LFI and all those kind of things, and you having Shane Taylor Promotions, obviously Roosh is gone right now with injury, but is this going to be a situation where, since Kenny's already shown his true colors, do you feel like you're going to be needing to have STP out there with you because LFI has been kind of playing with a half deck right now? Or do you think this will be something where Kenny shows up and it's mano a mano?
I'm going to be prepared for anything, right? The only reason I'm not Ring of Honor World Champion is because I forgot something. I made every measure going against Roosh except for Kenny. That's on me. You know what I mean? And going forward, I'm going to make sure I have everything in place. My goal and my hope is that Kenny's got the balls to stand there and throw hands with me like a man, and we don't have to worry about anything else. It's just us. If he really wants to prove he's that guy, if he really wants to show me, you know, that he can go back to being the old Kenny King, great. Then leave them other bitches in the back and let's go do it. You know what I mean? So that's what I hope. That's the Kenny King that I believe that I'm getting at Final Battle. But I'm still going to have some plans in case, you know what I mean?
I know you to be a real smart dude. That's why I asked that question. I know you don't make the same mistake twice. Well, we're talking about who you bring out to the ring. You know, on top of that, fellow past guests of the show, which again, if you're new here, that's why you got to hit that subscribe button. You know, Khan and Moses are going to be teaming up with O'Shea Edwards to defend your guys' 6-man titles. What are your thoughts on that match, seeing as obviously you're not going to be part of this one since you've got your battle with Kenny? What are your thoughts on that match, and how do you see that one playing out, although I already know the answer to that one?
Right. We are walking into this as the most dominant 6-man tag team champions in the history of Ring of Honor. We have the most defenses, minus boosted pandemic numbers where nobody was wrestling. We have the longest reign in history by the time Final Battle comes around. I expect to leave Final Battle still the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Champions. The Righteous are an incredible group of talent. The mind games that they play are second to none. They damn near drove Taven crazy, right? The mind games aren't going to work on us. We want to fight just as much as they do. We can get just as crazy as they can. We can go nuts just as much as they can. And that's fully what I expect from them and from my guys, Khan, Moses, O'Shea, to go out there and absolutely light it up like I know they can. O'Shea has stepped up before against LFI, and he came through with flying colors. I don't expect this to be any different. And I am sure that they're going to put on for the team and have an absolutely incredible outing against Vincent, Dutch, and Bateman.
I mean, what would it mean to you guys? Like, I mean, with that being said, I mean, you're definitely, for them at least, it's going to be, you know what you're getting per se with Kenny, because you know Kenny. Obviously, right. With Vincent and them, that's definitely going to be, you never know what the hell is going on in that guy's head, so it definitely can bring its own challenges. But I mean, what would it mean to you guys to be able to come out at the end of Final Battle, not only with the 6-man championships, but for you to be victorious over Kenny? I mean, that's got to be like the ultimate stamp, regardless of whether that means you end up with Ring of Honor once they come off this hiatus, whether that means you end up elsewhere. I mean, for you guys to end with that final stamp on Final Battle, I mean, what would that mean for you guys?
Be everything, man. Especially given the fact that nobody thought we'd be here, nobody wanted us to be here, to get to a point now where 2 years ago no one wanted STP to even be an idea. To fast forward now, having our stamp be the that lasting impression upon this show, to end this era with STP being the most dominant group in Ring of Honor. My guys with the 6-man titles, me victorious over Kenny. That would mean the world to me personally. All the hard work, all of the, it sounds cliche to say blood, sweat, and tears, but that's exactly what it is. All the time, the stress, the, injuries that I fought through to get to this point. Man, to have us all with our hands raised that night will just solidify the fact that I knew this group could be special 2 years ago, and we're going to see it come to fruition come this pay-per-view.
Well, I mean,
go ahead,
to
Corey.
your point that you had brought up earlier in the interview, you wanted the best for both yourself, your guys, and Ring of Honor the whole time. So it will kind of be like a commemorative trophy, I guess you could say, you would put in the mantle, kind of putting that stamp like they had mentioned on the end of it, for sure.
All right. Well, with that being said, before we get off Final Battle,
100%.
That's not.
100%.
Oh shit, my bad. It fucking lagged out. Go ahead.
Oh no. I was just saying that he said that it would be like a trophy, to just put that stamp on it, and he's 100% right. I want to be able to December 13th when I fly home, as long as I'm not in the hospital somewhere. To be able to put that title back on my mantle and leave it there, and say, regardless of what happens in the next few months, that the last Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team champions, the best Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team champions, and the baddest group in the history of the company is STP.
All right. I mean, dude, and that's the thing. Like this, again, that's what's so weird about saying this. I mean, obviously, with the name Final Battle, it's always their last show of the year. But I mean, obviously, with all the stakes on it, man, that's just what makes this show so weird. But before we get off of Final Battle, for anyone that's, new to I don't want to say new to Ring of Honor, but somebody that's, maybe on the fence about getting the pay-per-view and things like that, tell us a little bit about what you think they can expect, and is there any other matches, obviously other than yours and STP's, that you think would be something that would stick out to somebody who's maybe on the fence on this one?
If you're on the fence about this, then you don't have a pulse, man, because what you are watching, if you call yourself a wrestling fan, you're going to be watching this. One of the bigger matches that I think is garnering a lot of attention, as it should, is the Briscoes against OGK for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. The Briscoes are synonymous with Ring of Honor. If there was a Hall of Fame, they'd be in it twice over, So for them to go out here now trying to win the tag titles for a record 12th time against a team in Taven and Bennett, who have pushed them more than anybody has, which is saying something. You're talking about two legendary teams vying for the opportunity to be the last ones with those titles for ROH as we now know it, right? Because again, who's going to see it? Who's going to know how it looks going forward? But right. But honestly, man, this will be the greatest wrestling show that I feel like anybody has seen in recent memory. I know the dedication, the work that people are putting in. And if you call yourself a wrestling fan, if you call yourself a fan of anything involving this sport, this industry, you're going to be watching Final Battle.
Well, I mean, that puts as good a bow as any and could sell you as good as anybody on Ring of Honor Final Battle. But, you know, he mentioned OGK. Mike Bennett also happens to be a past guest of the show, too. So make sure you check that out when you're done with this one. Donald, I've been seeing you in the comments. So we've handled the immediate business that is Ring of Honor Final Battle. But we've got a lot of questions in the comments over here as to what you would like to do outside of outside on the indies. You know, you mentioned a little bit earlier how you've been doing a lot of stuff on the indies. You said there's a lot of different matchups you'd like to see. Are there any in particular that you'd like to see out on the indies, whether it be singles or in a tag, since you guys are still the 6-man champs?
I mean, man, one of the more entertaining ideas is STP versus Hit Row. We didn't think that we'd get to see or have that chance a few months ago. Here we are. That's an option that's out there. Top Dollar, the Adonis, Swerve, all three world-class talents. All three have a legitimate claim as being one of the best groups in the world. Problem is, we sit in that chair right now, and we have the championships to prove it. And then, of course, you've got, you know, down there in Florida, a little group of friends calling themselves the best trio in the world. And while they may very well be the most popular, they're not the best. So if the Bucks and Adam Cole feel like they really want to test themselves, like they really want to get it, like they really want to throw hands and not just, you know, hide behind those EVP ships, they don't need to create a whole new set of championships, because we have a set right here. You know what I mean? That says we are the very best in the world. So those two matchups in particular interest me. I'm sure the world would be interested as well. And across the independents, man, there's so many talented people that I can have singles matches with, that Conor Moses can have tag matches with, that O'Shea can go out there and have singles matches with. So many great companies that I want to debut at personally and bring my guys to. I feel like we would just absolutely wreck shop anywhere in the country. So we're looking forward to everything, man. I know there's someone chirping about a group in the comments. So I'm sure we'll get into them in a second. But yeah, man, I'm sure there's a lot of groups out there that have seen us that are thinking now's their time to, you know, all these young lions gonna come and take you ain't taking shit. y'all gotta line up and get your asses whipped, just like everybody in ROH has.
I mean, what did Roy Jones Jr. say? Y'all must have forgotten. I mean, shit, you can't forget. They still got the belts, man. But, you know, you did say that there are people chirping in the comments. And, Donald, you already know how we roll over here. I ain't scared of shit. So you asked the question. Here it comes. First of all, he was talking about, he mentioned Paradigm Pro Wrestling. He wanted to know what your thoughts are on your match with Calvin Tankman over there. And, you know, he was specifically saying, another guy who we've seen in Paradigm, he said he wants to see you and Isaiah Broner soon.
Paradigm is dope, man. It's a company that is filled with just incredible, diverse talent. Calvin Tankman, that's all I had been hearing about for the last few months, and seeing him everywhere, you know, just on everything. It's like Tankman. I was like, all right, well, like, let's find out. You know what I mean? Let's see if the hype is real, you know, because for me, I don't care what anybody's rep is, what their hype is. Until you prove it to me, I don't give a shit. Right. So my match with Tankman was everything that I thought that it was going to be. It ended in a no DQ. So obviously neither one of us are happy about that, because we want to see who the better man is. And so I'm sure I'll be back to Paradigm again, or wherever, to run that back with Tankman. And as far as Broner goes, same for him, man. He's, you know, I've been seeing his name everywhere. He's making waves. That's good for him. And if he wants it, I'm here. You know what I mean? I got no problem punching anybody in the face. And so if he wants to call Paradigm or call anywhere else that is ready to go ahead and add some zeros to these checks, then let's do it.
See, I love the attitude, man. It don't never change. It's the same as you always get. I kind of figured that was the answer we're gonna get, but hell, I mean, I can't argue with you, bro. Isaiah's watching. Well, Isaiah, if you're watching, bro, I mean, he just said, let's get it. So, I mean, go ahead and throw your shit out in the comments, homie. But yeah, like I said,
that would be a fight, dude. That's not a wrestling.
That's what the fuck I'm saying. I'm all here for that shit.
Bro, that one in the face or something. If anybody's paid attention in the last few years, that's what my matches are, man. There's a stark contrast, I believe, of how wrestling should be compared to, say, a Jonathan Gresham, right? I know that's the big thing right now. It's pure wrestling and pure grappling and da-da-da-da. To me, it sounds like bitch shit. It just does. Like sports, not the skill, right? It takes tremendous skill to do it. But just like fighting, wrestling evolves. It grows. You adapt. I can't go out there and be like, can y'all change the rules just so I can perform my best? No. You go out there and you fight whoever it is that's in front of you, whatever style they have, and you get it done, or you don't. And to me, there's just something special about being able to go out there, adapt to any opponent, any style, and come out victorious. Every fight starts standing, and to be in range to grab me, to grapple me, you got to be in range to get hit. And if you're in range to get hit, that means I have the capability of putting your ass to sleep. You know what I mean? So for me, they call it catch can, you know what I mean? But for me, catch can catch hands, because fuck that. Like, we are here to fight. We are here to throw down. And if you can't do that, maybe you need to go elsewhere.
I hope somebody's watching over at Ring of Honor right now, because if you ask me, this dude's talking his way right into a world title match on Saturday, if you ask me. And how full circle would that be after he knocks off Kenny King? Hey.
If when they come back in April, he's ready for the belt.
This whole thing started
the same night.
Hey, this whole thing started because Kenny King cost me the world title, right? I already put it out on Twitter. Obviously, you never want to hear about your champ going down. So best of luck to Bandito. This leaves Gresham without an opponent. So I say winner of me and Kenny faces Jonathan Gresham. And we'll see what happens. This is not only would it be added stakes to me and Kenny, but also you get the opportunity to make history. The fact that Jay Lethal is the only man to win, the only black male to win the Ring of Honor world title, you immediately now have the opportunity to make history as someone putting their name next to his. And for two guys who have tried to lead this company, it wouldn't get any bigger than myself versus Jonathan Gresham to do that and sort of cap the night off with that. So we'll see what they say. Nothing's been proposed or anything else like that. It's just an idea. Who knows how I'll be feeling after the match with Kenny? Like, you know what I mean? But if I need to crawl to have my chance for that title, then I will.
I mean, they're already getting at it in the comments. I mean, that would be one hell of a way to cap Ring of Honor. Now, I don't know how you're going to do that with there being the belt being gone with Bandito, but son of a bitch, we've seen plenty of interim titles in the UFC. Ah, damn it. Get a belt ready. I like it. Tweet Ring of Honor. Let motherfuckers know. I mean, hell, and not to mention, you talk about the weekend that this is all going down on. I mean, holy shit. J-Bone, you're stuck over there in quarantine. You won't be able to be there with us at XFC 43. Or not 43, Young Guns 4. Sorry, that was the last event. But XFC Young Guns 4 is Tuesday's guest. Kenny Cross gets to, like he said, try to put somebody in a casket and all that good shit. But along with Ring of Honor Final Battle, man, later that night you got UFC 269. I know Shane T is a fight fan. So, first of all, before we get to UFC 269, you and I have talked a lot off air about Bilal Muhammad and all those kind of things. So I know he's got a fight. He's got a fight coming up against Wonderboy Thompson. So
hell of a fight.
Tell me what your thoughts are on Bilal's fight against Wonderboy.
Man, that's the fam right there. That's the guy. I have all the confidence in the world. One of the best takedown defense fighters in UFC right now. He's got some ridiculously high takedown defense percentage. Like I want to say it's like 90 something percent. Like the dude, you're gonna have to stand there and strike with homie. You know what I mean? Like, and even then, that's not what you want to do. Constant pressure fighter, always in your face, always pushing tempo, always just trying to break you mentally, physically. And I feel like all the pressure here is on Wonderboy. Like it's going to be on Wonderboy's shoulders to try to prove something. And if you're going out there, one mistake, it all ends for Wonderboy. I feel like Bilal can get him out of there. I feel like he could stop him. And if he does that, he puts the entire world on notice. I don't see how, if he stops Wonderboy, he doesn't get the next title shot. I don't see how it does. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to argue.
You know what I mean? Like to go out there, you clip the number 5 guy in impressive fashion. You know what I mean? Go out there, get it done. Would be dope to see. I'm excited, man, to have him, have everybody remember the name, as he says.
Well, Corey, I know you're the big MMA nut, dude. So what do you think about Wonderboy versus Bilal Muhammad?
The second that match was announced, I was a huge fan of the booking. It's kind of not necessarily a contrast of styles, because I feel like Bilal has always been a more well-rounded fighter who implements his wrestling to win his fights more often than not. And even though he showcased his hands, he showcased, like you said, his pressure a lot, is what I feel as though wins him most of his fights, is that unrelenting pressure that he brings. I've been a big fan of both him. I bring this up with a ton of fighters that I'm fans of, and it's a big thing with Bilal as well. He does a great job of representing himself both inside the cage and outside of the cage with his Remember the Show on the John Anik Network. Just right now, I mean, not once you're done watching us with Shane Taylor, then go watch Bilal with DC and who else was on there tonight? But
not Dominic Cruz.
He's always killing it over there. So that being said, the matchup itself, though, I'm very excited. I feel like Wonderboy, like you say, especially coming off the loss against Burns, he's got a lot more to showcase for sure. If he isn't able to get the win, it's going to be a real slide in the career of Wonderboy. I do tend to lean towards Bilal because I feel like with the well-roundedness, he definitely presents more areas that he can finish the fight. And I feel as though we've seen some holes, even though Wonderboy has amazing takedown defense, we've seen some holes in his defense this last fight, and I feel like Bilal is going to be able to implement that.
Well, you didn't mention the biggest one of them all. Shane hit the nail on the head when you talk about the pressure that Bilal makes. But the thing that I think would make the biggest problem for Wonderboy is it's a known fact that he loves to catch people on the counter. I feel like with exactly what Shane said and staying in Wonderboy's face, I feel like he's got the right mix to, fuck up Wonderboy's rhythm. And he's a fighter that has to have that rhythm because he's got that karate background. It's a fact. Like when they kick, just with the way they kick, so much of their striking style is based on timing. Bilal's constant pressure is going to be a big problem for that one. I don't know. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to that. Before I get to UFC 269, we do got one other thing that was asked, and we were told to ask you about tonight. So, with all the rumors since Keith Lee's been released. Ring of Honor's got Final Battle this weekend. What are the chances we see maybe a Pretty Boy Killers reunion?
The chance to see anything is possible. You know what I mean?
None but air and opportunity.
I'm saying I talked to Keith about wrestling, about personal life. You know what I mean? He's got his wedding coming up, I believe, in February. So all focus is and should be on that. The rest of it we'll handle when the time comes. You know what I mean? But there's always going to be room for him in STP if the money's right. There's the possibility of anything is there. You know what I mean? Someone put out a tweet that was saying, yo, we live in a world where we could see FTR, the Bucks, the Briscoes, and PBK all in one company. And the only people we haven't been in the ring with would be Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz. And the only ones that we haven't been in the ring with would be the Bucks and FTR. Everybody else we've been in the ring with, right? So the opportunity to build perhaps one of the best tag team divisions in the history of wrestling is out there. Because you're talking about, 5-6 great teams that I just mentioned there. So all of that is possible. While we're still on the fighting, though, can we take a moment to appreciate the god that is Jose Aldo?
Yes. Damn. Dude, so for anybody that didn't catch our show with Jimmy Smith was talking with us about that right before that fight, and he said, if you listen to him on Sirius XM Unlocking the Cage and all that, he was talking about how, he feels like this is a fight that was winnable for Aldo, but then what happens with the next 3 or 4 fights after that? But man, he said the same thing we were just talking about. Man, I should have just titled this shit, Y'all Must Have Forgot, because damn. Right. This man came out with pop. Like, Aldo's not even known as a power guy like that.
Listen.
And, dude, he was throwing hands.
At 135, bro, like, I maybe him being older, he's a lot, he's trained a little differently. Like, you could tell he was getting a little tired there, but he found his second win, boy. And power is the last thing to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, any older boxer will tell you that. The last thing to go is that pop. And it seemed like anytime he landed flush, it was a wrap. Like, man, and I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, on pins and needles, that's one of my favorite fighters, man. Like, I felt like he got such the fight with McGregor, I believe he was beaten more mentally than physically. Like, and I think it took him a long time to kind of just get over that. You know what I mean? But man, seeing him sort of come back to form and just dominate, you know what I mean? Like, was such a cool thing to see. Like, that gave me Aldo Faber vibes. You know what I mean? It was just like, nah, bro, ain't nothing. I don't care what you do. This fight ends exactly the way it's supposed to, and that's me winning this bitch.
And it's funny you mentioned that fight is the comparison to that, because what was crazy about that is for him to have that big of a that good of a performance, but yet at the same time he didn't even really use his trademark leg kicks the way he normally does. Now he threw some, but you mentioned the Faber fight. You watch that fight, he damn near crippled Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber barely could walk, and they couldn't walk out of the cage. So, like, that's the crazy thing about that. Even makes like the shots he landed even crazier to me, because
he didn't set him up like that.
But he didn't set it up with a leg kick. And man, usually when you see a guy that likes to leg kick a lot, that right hand is coming back off of a left hook or a lead leg kick. Dude, he was just throwing them bitches, man. And I mean, if he can throw with that kind of power, I mean, and hey, like we talk about, scared money don't make no money, and he came right out and said he wants to smoke with TJ Dillashaw. So how do you see that fight going? How do you like a matchup with him and TJ Dillashaw?
I feel like I feel like smartly on him, if you don't have to throw those leg kicks, especially given the injuries that we've seen, like, you probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? But I feel like if he's against somebody like Dillashaw, you're gonna need to throw them to keep him back,
taking you down,
right? And keep him honest. But then at the same time, Aldo's got the power to, if he lands on your chin, bro, it's tough for anybody, right? So I feel like an Aldo versus Dillashaw fight, ends within 3. I don't think that goes 5. Probably within 2, if we're really being honest. Like, Dillashaw is going to push the pace, and he's going to force something to happen. Either he's going to walk into something, or he's going to catch Aldo, but it's going to be fireworks.
Hey, man, we're going to have to see what happens with that one.
I was really, really surprised. I knew with Aldo making the cut down from 45 and Font not necessarily being the world's biggest 135er, but when you seen them both in the cage next to each other, it was
Aldo looked big as fuck, bro.
Yeah, Aldo looked fucking massive when you compared the two. So, and you look at same thing with TJ Dillashaw. He even did make the cut down to 125. Granted, he needed some EPO and some extra stuff to make it happen. But he got down there nonetheless. So we're talking somebody who's, again, on the smaller side of 135. And I feel like if Aldo is able to implement that same game he was against Rob Font, because Rob Font did a great job. I feel like if he wasn't dealing with the power that Aldo presented, he would have won that fight tenfold.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
yeah.
Every time Aldo was able to get something off, you could just see the difference. There was just a massive difference. It rocked Font every time where he was.
Well, look at the damage on his face too.
Every time he got hit solid.
Yeah.
Bro, that played out like some Tyson shit, where it was like everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and that's exactly what that looked like. It was like, okay, I got this. Boom, shit, and it was like, yeah, no,
yeah, you could see it like mentally reset his whole game every time he would get hit like that, because those were hard shots he was taking, and you could just see it in his body language and everything.
Bro.
Shout out Rob Font, because he did put an amazing performance against a legend.
And he didn't make any excuses, too. I respect the shit out of that. He said, you know what, 100%. I think I can beat him. But I don't know, man. Like I say, it's
Aldo versus TJ, man, I really hope they do book that shit, because that's going to be a fun one. Either way, no matter who gets the win, that's going to be a fun-ass fight. But I feel like that's definitely a winnable fight for Aldo.
Now, question, right? Because we were talking about what happens if Wonder Boy loses, right? Which he will. But if Aldo then comes in and smacks Dillashaw, what happens to TJ? Because
again, maybe.
I don't know, but I feel like he needed the win that he got to even like solidify his spot back. Because I feel like if he would have lost, he would have been gone, right? So I think he's one of those guys that is there because he won, but kind of like a John Fitch where they don't really want you here, so that next loss could put you out.
You know, that's a good point, but I agree with what you said on that win, though. I feel like with the win that he got and it being over Sandhagen, even though Sandhagen's taken a couple of losses, it's clear that the UFC likes his style and stuff like that. So I feel like purely with the fact that he beat Sandhagen, like I feel like if it were somebody else different that he beat, like you said, obviously I feel like we would have been talking a lot different about that fight. But I feel like because it was Sandhagen, and not only was it Sandhagen to come in and beat Sandhagen when he did, even though that he got injured, I feel like you're 100% right. I feel like at this point, if he wins, you've all but got to give TJ the next title shot. But on the flip side, if Aldo does come out and beat him, which is very possible, I mean, son of a bitch, like you can't say that Aldo shouldn't be in the talk at least for the next title shot. But the crazy part of that is, I mean, granted, it does seem that Aldo seems to have more power this time. But with that being said, I still don't know if I see Aldo at this stage of his career being able to beat Petriano.
Maybe not, but what a fight it would be, though. You know what I'm saying? I'd pay to see him have one more shot at a world title. I would pay to see that. Right.
Yeah. But Aldo's also a guy who you wouldn't be surprised if he did. If he did,
that's what I'm saying.
You wouldn't be surprised. You know?
Yeah, a lot of people forget because of the way that fight ended between Petrian and Aldo that they think that it was a one-sided affair, and the first 2 rounds were far from that. Aldo was actually bringing the fight in the early rounds, and it was just you could see that Aldo was new to 35, and like you had noted, he didn't hit that second wind in that fight. He looked dog-ass tired, and that's where the fight started to lean more towards Jan. I feel as though there's definitely a chance for him to beat Jan, but the way that Jan looked against Sandhagen, man, that's going to be a tough competition. I'm a big Aljamain Sterling fan, and that's going to be an uphill fucking climb in his next fight for Aljo, let alone Aldo, because I think Aljo would be real tough competition for Aldo. I know Aldo, but I feel like 135 is a stacked division the further and further you get up towards the top, and I feel as though TJ is definitely a winnable fight. I feel like Aljamain Sterling would be a tough one. Corey Sandhagen would be a tough one. And
135 is one of the most dog-ass weight classes in the UFC, period. Yeah. We talk about this all the time. Like, there's a fucking room full of killers at that weight class. This isn't like 185 where we're talking about Izzy, who's pretty much cleared out everybody, or a 205 division where you got Glover, Teixeira, and then who, basically. I mean, like I say, 135 and 155, I would argue, probably are your two best weight classes when you're talking about depth-wise in the UFC. So, I mean, anybody that's in that 135 mix, dude, is just going to be a problem.
It's crazy, bro, because I remember, and I'm sure you guys do too, like 10 years ago, bro, like there wasn't this much movement in these weight classes, bro. Like there was like the mainstay at each thing. Like you had GSP, Anderson, you had Chuck, who was ruling the roost for a while, and then you had like Couture, who was the man for a while, and it was just like you knew the champions weren't going nowhere, right? Like it was just if it was Anderson versus whoever, you knew it was just a matter of time until they were going to sleep. Like it wasn't even a question, right?
Squash match,
right? And like now, I feel like for the heavier weights, since Jones left light heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like no disrespect to any champion, you know what I mean? But it's just like, even when he was stripped, and I respect the hell out of DC and everybody else, it just never felt like DC was the guy, because there was always some sort of asterisk next to it. You know what I mean? And then for him to
insert the damn it John Jones again.
Bro, it's just crazy. But it's like, it feels a lot like, for example, when Ali left and the title was on Frazier, like until he came back and Frazier beat him, you couldn't really solidify him to the masses as the champion, right? Because he didn't beat the guy, right? And unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of people, because it's like, yo, I don't care who's champion now. Great, you didn't beat Jones, so it's hard to market the next guy who didn't beat the previous guy. You know what I mean? And now you're looking at a potential maybe heavyweight run for John Jones. Who knows? You know what I mean? But like what happens there? You know what I mean? Like who's gonna be the person that's gonna, you know, carry that whole thing until Jones gets there, or until they figure out what's going on with Francis.
Well, let's even ask you that. You know, you brought up a good question, something that we've yet to get to talk about on the show. You know, I was listening to a fellow past guest of the show and a guy that you've rapped it with before. Ryan McKinnell was talking about this the other day. There's been a lot of talk about that John Jones is getting ready to, you know, make some kind of comeback. He says he wants to fight again in February or March or so. That's the time frame that he's saying. First of all, what do you think his legacy looks like at this point, number one? And number two, you know, what do you think it's going to look like for him to get ready to fight? Because, I mean, obviously there was all the fallout with him and Jackson Wink, and now they're saying he's training with essentially the same coaches, but training out of his garage. Like, I mean, obviously not the most ideal circumstances, but I'm still hearing that he's talking about getting ready to come back for a fight. So what are your thoughts on that? And do you have anybody in particular that you want to see him fight?
I feel like I'm someone who can separate the individual from their accomplishments, right? Obviously, he's got a history. You know, he's made some mistakes. whatever people think about him personally is their opinion. Okay. You cannot deny what he's done in the cage as a fighter, though, right? I'll say the same thing about guys like Floyd, right? You can dislike them personally. That's your choice. Yep. What Floyd has been able to do as a boxer and a businessman, you cannot question in the fucking least. You know what I mean? So I believe Jones will go down as one of the greatest fighters, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. With his only loss being a fight he was absolutely dominating against Hamill. So I feel like caught it. I feel like anytime he comes back, that's where eyes are going to be, whether you like it or not. That's what he's commanded. That's who he is. And honestly, if I'm coming back, give me Jones and Cormier, or no, not Cormier. Give me Jones and Stipe.
I would love that fight.
Give me Jones and Stipe. You're not really gonna have to worry about, I think, it being like one of those grappling heavyweight fights. I feel like you're gonna go out there, get fireworks. It'd be a good opponent for Jones. You know what I mean? Like, Stipe comes straight ahead, man. You have to deal with a great boxer, tough guy. Get Stipe a huge payday. You know what I'm saying? My Cleveland guy, hell yeah. Get him paid. And it puts both guys in a great spot, because if Jones wins, then you do him and Francis and you give them both whatever fucking cash they ask for and move out of the way. Right?
Will Dana do that? Who knows?
Who knows? Right? But if we're talking business sense, you know what I mean? Like, and of course you put in some red tape that if something happens, that causes the fight not to happen. Right. You know what I mean? You can void it and all that shit. But if Jones wins, he beats the greatest heavyweight ever, and then takes the title.
They've done Stipe dirty too, dude. Like, Stipe needs to be thrown a bone too. Like, they've fucking done him dirty as a son of a bitch.
Stipe is a fucking animal, bro, and he's just gone about his business like a fucking soldier. You know what I mean? And then just marched through everybody except, Ngannou, which he beat the first time. You know what I mean? But just
how come right?
Bro, that power is just otherworldly. He just got caught. It happens, right? But but let's just say Stipe wins, right? Let's say Stipe wins. He knocks off the greatest fighter ever, and then challenges Ngannou again to get his belt back. Like, either way, you're talking about two mega fights, hundreds of millions of dollars up for grabs. To me, but after that, I don't see what else you do in the heavyweight division but those three men fighting for it.
I mean, we still got to don't forget, we still got to see Ngannou get through Cyril Gane too, man, because that's going to be
true. That's very
going to be a very interesting knockout. I meant to say matchup for him, because Cyril Gane probably has got better movement other than any other heavyweight he's going to fight, unless John Jones, eventually makes that full move to heavyweight. I mean, Cyril Gane is going to be a little bit harder of a test, I feel like, for Ngannou, just in the fact that he ain't going to stand there and let Ngannou just come straight over. Now, that being said, I feel like the Ngannou that we saw the second time with Stipe, shows that he's a much more evolved fighter. And I feel like now, with the disrespect that has come, at least the way he's perceived it, and I don't blame him, with the whole situation with Cyril Gane, I think that's going to give him a little bit more extra motivation. So I'm definitely interested to see how that plays out. Before I get your picks for UFC 269, because I know we're running short on time, you mentioned Cleveland. I got to ask your thoughts on Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley too.
Thriller, baby.
Listen, man. Listen.
You think it's some pro wrestling shit?
If we're being honest, all of this is pro wrestling shit. You know what I mean? Like, it all is. It all is.
You gotta sell it all,
bro. But that's why you've seen more guys who have left there come over to pro wrestling. You've seen our style of entertainment being adapted more to a mainstream audience because, it's all, no one is in the business of losing cash, right? So in my opinion, a lot of it is pro wrestling. But that being said, I don't know, man. Like, I cheer for Cleveland everything, right? But it's hard for me as a boxing fan as well to also be like, yeah, but hey, I can't hate the Pauls, bro. They've done an absolutely incredible job of building something for themselves from nothing. So shouts out to them. I feel as though Woodley is in a very tough spot here because if you go out and lose a second time, regardless of the bag you're about to get, because if he loses twice, then there is no third fight, right?
And he's got that shitty ass tattoo.
I'm saying, bro, like 2 losses to this dude, and you got his name tattooed on you, bro. I don't know.
He's done with. If he loses this fight, he loses all respect. The fact that he was UFC welterweight champion, all that shit. I feel like even if it shouldn't be, is going to go right down the damn drain.
Delete everything. All your world titles are gone. Delete your Twitter account. Everything.
Right. I hope whatever he's getting paid, you can go to an island somewhere and just chill and relax, because that's tough. You know what I mean? But they added the stipulation that if he can get a knockout, he gets another $500K. We'll see. I hope he gets it, man, because then you at least get a third fight. You know what I'm saying? You could technically now. All right, let's just play pro wrestling, right? You need a third big fight for Jake. Let's say he gets caught, gets clipped, ref stops it early.
Yep.
Right.
And then you've created the ref was trying to
stops
protect
it early. Ref stops it early. Woodley gets to say, I knocked you out. He goes, no, the fuck you didn't. You build up a third fight, and then we see what happens. But you get to have the gripe, well, I beat you, well, no, the fuck you didn't, and then on we go. They both get paid again. I'm not saying that's what will happen. I'm just saying it make the smartest business sense.
And then you do the third fight in Triangle Triad.
Do it, bro. Incorporate whoever, right? But definitely like even for that one, right? Even if Woodley was to lose the third fight, he would still save some face by winning this one and being able to say, well, I did do this. You know what I'm saying? But 2 straight losses, that's tough. That's tough.
That's
dude,
you're
not
tough. Doesn't matter the stage you're on, doesn't necessarily even matter the opponent. But when you're talking about coming out against Jake Paul, somebody who's as divisive as he is, new to boxing, granted he has some skills and you can tell he takes his training serious, but you're Tyron Woodley, dude. You were the champion of the world. You're supposed to go in there and beat somebody like that. And the fact that he very clearly didn't that first time around, and the fact that he's even getting a rematch, like you gotta lay it all on the line. Dude,
bro,
you gotta knock his ass out. That's what's gotta happen.
That's the thing, right? And I feel like, because I watched the first one and I feel like, again, there's a lot of pro wrestling stuff, but just like when Floyd fought Logan, you could I felt like he was throwing some shit out there, but he wasn't trying to hurt homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the guys in the UFC. But I feel like in this one, you gotta put something on him, man. Like you gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do something.
This has got all to do with self-respect at this point. You got a tattoo on you.
Listen, there's only so much shit talking you can take, bro. I don't care what you're being paid. There's only so much as a man I feel like you can take, and I feel like he's at his limit, bro. Like he's got to do something for people to go, all right, Tyron, all right. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
And
like
especially because of the fact he just looks so excited.
Listen,
every little post he's making is like, "Fuck yeah, I got the rematch, baby. Let's go in there." Like,
listen, he's got to deliver, bro, or it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad.
Worse. Even a decision win to me is a loss. And it's not enough.
I do not feel like he's gonna spark him, right? Because if you spark him, then his marketability for his next fight goes away, because I think for both the Pauls, their draw is the fact that they're undefeated so far, minus the eggs a bit. You know what I mean? Like people are waiting for them to lose. Once they lose, the mystique is gone. You know what I mean? But it's how it happens that could salvage a lot of it, right? So I feel like, again, he may hurt him. The ref may step in. It's this big controversy. You know what I mean? He can go back and he didn't beat me and talk all this shit and still be credible. And then they do a third. Then they do a third one, but Tyron gets to save face a bit.
Now I pose the question to you: are you more excited now that we have this rematch in front of us, or were you initially more excited for the Tommy Fury fight?
I'm more excited about this rematch because I'm anxious more to see how it plays out. You know what I mean? Tommy Fury is a fucking dog, bro, and I feel like a lot of that could potentially be Tommy going, look, man, either we're fighting straight up or we're just not. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, and maybe once he found out, like, hey, maybe it's not, he was like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, but who knows? You know, who knows? But I'm anxious to see what's next for the Furies. I'm anxious to see what's next.
I wanted his dad to step in there for him because I thought that was Tyson for a minute.
Bro, listen, that shit was. Because that's his brother, right?
No, Tyson's his brother, yeah, but his dad at the press conference had me dying.
Oh my god,
bro! I'm anxious to see what's next for Tyson though, too, man. Like the heavyweight division is fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. Like who's homeboy that beat Joshua?
Usyk,
right? So obviously. That's going to be someone that everybody's got to see at some point.
I think he
right?
fucks Usyk up too, to be honest.
You think?
I do, and I do. I just feel like the experience is going to be the difference in that one. I don't really see anybody being able. I feel like here's why. The reason I think that he beats Usyk is I think the experience is going to be the difference. But the reason why I think he beats him is especially after the way the first fight went with Wilder, and then for him to come back and beat him and then have everything go the way it's gone at this point, I feel like it's really going to take something to really throw Fury off his game. Now, that being said, if Fury comes in there and maybe looks at Usyk as maybe a little bit of a less than challenger, which I don't think he will, being that he just beat Joshua, that could be a difference. But I feel like the experience and being able to come out on the other side, you know, on greener pastures with the whole deal with Wilder, I feel like that experience and everything that's happened and being in those championship rounds and having that big spotlight, because even though Usyk's the champ, we all know in boxing you can have a title without having the biggest fights. Now, Usyk had his fight with Joshua, but a lot of people could argue, is that on the same level as what it would be if he's stepping up to fight Tyson Fury? For me, I feel like that's going to be different. Now, is that going to be a fight that I want to see? Sure, but I still feel like I take Tyson Fury in that one.
Yeah, I feel as though sorry. I feel as though the money is still in Wilder, Joshua, and Fury. Unfortunately for Usyk. It's imperative, especially for Joshua at this point, that he wins that rematch. I hope he does. He's a great dude. I hope he goes out there and lets his hands go and just gets back to form before the Ruiz fight. I hope he wins that rematch. If I'm Wilder, I do Wilder versus Ruiz next. Yeah. We see who wins that. Based off his performance, I think a win versus against a former world champ gets to silence a lot of people. You immediately put yourself right back in the conversation of, I just beat the guy who beat you. And if Joshua can get back to form, then the three-headed monster of the heavyweight division is back again. But if they can win both those fights, boxing needs to make those fights fucking happen now.
Facts.
Yes.
Now, like those three need like clearly Fury would probably or Wilder would be waiting for the winner of that, but man, like they need to make it happen now before anybody else takes another loss, before anybody gets, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, there's already calls to a mandatory. I believe it was WBC called Fury up for Dillian White, if I'm not mistaken. So that's supposed to be the next proposed matchup.
Right. And hey, if you're, and that's again, can't count out White because he's here to fight too. If Fury beats him, like I feel if all three men can win these fights and they're tough opponents, you know what I'm saying? But if they can make it happen, then those fights need to happen ASAP. Like, and if I'm putting it together, I do. Damn, I guess you would have to do Fury Joshua. You would have to do Fury Joshua, and then winner of that gets Wilder. You know what I mean? And see what happens. That's tough. But if Joshua can pull off the upset against Fury, then what a mega fight that could be. You know what I'm saying? Joshua versus Wilder. That'd be tough.
So Usyk's a strange character, right? Like I've been following his career for a short minute now, but he is a strange character in boxing. And I feel as though that first fight between him and Joshua was actually more of a clear representation than what most people are taking it for. I think a lot of people are writing it off as a one-off, but Usyk being the smaller heavyweight that's very quick but also maintains power, he's really hard for a lot of these top guys, especially these bigger guys like a Joshua, somebody who tries to go in there and, you know, throw with power. I feel as though Usyk may end up slipping his role into that like three horseman role. I honestly do. If they end up running this rematch back, I feel like Usyk could very well steal that spot.
Shit, if he wins again, you can't say he doesn't insert himself. He wins the fucking rematch too. If I'm Usyk, I'm telling him, fuck you, pay me what they're paying me, or
like if he beats Joshua twice, it's tough for Joshua to come back from 2 back-to-back losses. That inserts Usyk right away. You do Fury and Usyk if he can beat Dillian White, but I feel like there's just less money to be made with a Fury versus Usyk than the rest of the men that I mentioned. And if that's the case, then I think it's just bad for. It's not bad for boxing because you still get some good fights. But like to me, boxing goes back then to the era of the Klitschko's, right? And it's just like cool, but you know what I mean? And for it to for boxing as a sport to garner the attention that it needs to here, there needs to be a credible American threat and or champion that's in the running at least. And so for me, as a fan of the sport, I'm hoping that Joshua, Wilder, and Fury can kind of get it done, and we get these fights that we've been dreaming of for years.
Can't argue that at all, dude. Those would all be great matchups. But what else is going to be great matchups this weekend is UFC 269. Now, obviously, I won't go through the whole card because we've been flapping our gums for a minute, and we appreciate all of you guys that are still watching this motherfucker. But with that being said, UFC 269 for fight fans like ourselves is, I'm pretty fucking excited for that. I mean, like I said, you got XFC this weekend, you got Ring of Honor this weekend, you got UFC 269, and on Sunday, I know you saw the promo, Shane, which you can check if you check out it at KO3C Pod, but, our friend Tara LaRosa says she's coming for motherfucking back pay on Sunday at Submission Underground, so make sure you guys check that out. Submission Underground 29. Her opponent didn't seem to be too happy with what Tara had to say on the show, but hey, scared money don't make no money. But goddamn UFC, hey man, Jeezy told me that. But UFC 269, we've got in the main event probably a fight that I am, and again, self-admittedly, I'll say the same shit that I say off the air that I'll say on the air. I was not the biggest fan of Do Bronx because he missed weight against our boy and past guest of the show, Miles Jury, when they fought at 145, and he had a history of it. But again, I give credit where credit is due. This man has had such improvement in each fight since he's went up to 155. I feel like that in and of itself is what makes this main event so interesting to me. So we've got Oliveira versus Paul. If I could spit it out. Oliveira versus Poirier, and then you've got Nunez versus Juliana Pena. So what are you thinking with UFC 269, brother man?
Man, all credit to Oliveira, who's an absolute dog, bro. But I feel like, and this is tough, bro, because you could argue that Poirier's fights with McGregor are bigger than the title.
They are, because if you're talking views wise,
right? So is it a letdown now to try to go and take the title? Like, and I hope that's not the case, and he comes in there just as hungry, which I feel like he will, because you can sort of solidify the work that you've just done, and you cap it off with the title. But that's my only fear, is that added aggression of it being McGregor not there. You know what I'm saying? Isn't there for Oliveira, and you need that against Oliveira because he's a fucking animal, bro. But I'm gonna say Poirier wins that by decision, and then I think Nunez finishes another one, bro. I think she absolutely smashes whoever's in front of her. I got so much love for her, bro. It's like to be someone who took losses early, right? Learned, and I don't understand, and I know this is going on, for a long time, but the fact that people think like if you lose somehow you all of a sudden suck, or you're not, or you're not good. Like, bro, you are fighting the best fucking athletes and fighters in the world, bro. In the world. Not in your fucking backyard, not in your town, in the fucking world. Someone somewhere is going to have your number on any given fucking night. It happens, right? And for her to come back from a loss and absolutely start dominating people to be one of, if not the best female fighter fucking ever, is absolutely incredible. To dispatch Cyborg the way she did. Didn't she beat Holm too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, so to dispatch,
and's got double champ too.
That's what I'm saying. So to be the ruler of two divisions, smash Holm, smash Cyborg, smash Rousey, right? Smash Rousey. And personally for me, the fight with Rousey was where I became such a huge fan, because they didn't even fucking market her in the build-up. I didn't like, if you didn't know who the champion was prior to it, you wouldn't have known. You thought it was just Ronda coming back to claim her belt. And for her to go, nah, fuck that. Don't disrespect me. She's gone. This is my shit. Oh, hey, you goddamn right. Own that shit. And then absolutely smash everybody afterwards. Dope. Big fan of the Lioness. I hope she keeps that shit forever.
Not to mention, dude, she's just built, and like you said, greatest of all time. There's when you're talking about women, there's no argument about it. There's no really anything you can really say about it. Speaking of legacy and what her legacy is going to be in the UFC and all that stuff, J-Bone, I know you had a good question about legacy and something that goes with that, so I will leave our final question for Shane T to you.
I got two, actually. So, as we know, on the horizon for STP and Shane Taylor, man, there's a lot of opportunities coming up. Do you have an idea or see somebody out there that you would want to be maybe a female member of STP in the near future, maybe like Trish Adora, or anyone on your radar as of now?
There's a lot, man. Female wrestling is absolutely on fire and has some tremendous stars in it. I made no mistake that Trish Adora is someone that we're after. She's absolutely incredible. She's a damn superhero. You know what I mean? To not only her peers and those who have come before her, but to generations after her. They are all looking at her, and I know that's a lot of pressure, but I believe she's someone that can handle it. You're also looking at women like Holidead, who have been mainstays on the independent scene for a long time now, and absolutely every time you see her in a match, she crushes it and puts on a performance that is lasting, right? The style that she has, her personality of absolutely anybody can get it at any time would fit perfect with us. You've got women like Nicole Savoy, who are absolutely technical marvels in the ring, who absolutely crush it, and have dominated not only here in the States, but overseas. There's so many. So the all options are on the table, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome, man. Last one for me, man. So this could very well be the last time we hear from you before Final Battle this Saturday. Now, as Ring of Honor potentially closes its doors, what would be your last words to the people that have supported you in Ring of Honor, the people that continue to support you throughout, and what are your last words as you shut that door behind you to your legacy that you're leaving in Ring of Honor?
When I created Shane Taylor Promotions, I was told that it was going to be bad for the company. It's not what they wanted, that they didn't want to market it, that they didn't like it. And yet here we are 2 years later as undoubtedly the most talked about group in the company right now. That is directly because of the people and the support that they have given us. This is not a machine behind us like other people got. There's been no big marketing campaign to make sure everybody knew who we were like other people got. This is us and the people. They have gotten us to this point. And so thank you doesn't seem like enough, but I promise you at Final Battle, you are going to get a performance out of every single member of STP that will be worthy of the support that you've given us. And if this is the last time you see all of us in a Ring of Honor ring, we are going to give you something to remember. And man, it's one of those things that just makes me so proud to be able to say that we built this, us and the people. That's why when I say that we're for the culture, we mean it. That we're for the people, we mean it. Because that's who got us here, and that's who we're going to ride with. And going forward, we'll see what happens, but we know wherever we end up, the people are coming with us.
I mean, I think that pretty much, sums it up, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. And hey, for any of you guys that are new here, we're throwing out names of people who might be great with STP. I mean, hey, if you check us out this Tuesday, you might see another face that has been around Ring of Honor that might be a good addition. And Janai Kai, you just saw her square off with Jade the other night. She will be joining us this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Make sure you check that shit out. And like I said, Sunday, after you get to see STP in all of its glory at Final Battle, which you should be doing, which we'll be doing before UFC 269, make sure you check out Tara LaRosa's Sunday for Submission Underground and see if she gets that motherfucking back pay. Well, Shane, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the time. You already know what time it is. Like I said, we rock with you guys on and off the show. And I can't wait to see Final Battle.
Appreciate y'all, boys, man. It's going to be a hell of a show.
Hell yeah, man. Can't wait till we get to see you back here in Detroit, man, and all that good stuff. Or whenever I get to see you again, most likely, hell, I might end up in Texas soon. Hell, I'll be in Texas for Mania weekend, if nothing else. So until next time and in the in-between time, peace.